right, good morning, everyone. We'll give it just a second for people to start joining, and I know it takes a little bit for everybody to hop on. My name is Chelsea Rosti. I am, we don't want to do that, the Director of Business Innovation for the City of Montrose. Just a little bit of housekeeping this morning. This is the first time we're doing this, and so who knows what might happen. We're going to have fun. We're going to take an opportunity this morning to get to know a couple of our leaders in the community. But we have to trust that, this is going to be a respectful and good environment in order to do that. So we just ask that you be nice. And if there's any disrespectful behavior or attacking of people, then we may have to remove a person from the call, but we don't expect that to happen. And we think that this is going to be a really fun time. A little bit of just please stay muted until it's your turn to talk. And we have ways to call on you. So if you have a question, you can do that. Speaking of, if you do have a question, you can indicate it by raising your hand. So you can do that through Zoom at the bottom and raise your hand, raise your virtual hand to ask your question live. And so everybody is joining us via video. So we'll be able to see your face and hear your question live, or you can type your question into the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. This call is recorded, so just know that as we move forward throughout the morning. We're going to take an hour this morning. We anticipate there being a lot of questions, and we want to give time to talk about all of the questions and have thoughtful conversations. So if you need to hop off at any time, that's totally okay. Again, we'll be recording and we'll post this shortly after today's call. All right. So this morning, we have two wonderful guests with us. We have Sue Hansen, Montrose County Commissioner. Sue was raised in a military family, and she moved to New Jersey, from New Jersey to Germany, and then many states across the country. She's a graduate of the Stephen F. Austin State University in Texas with a BA in psychology and a minor in Spanish. Sue has a really great bio on the county website, but most importantly, she's a great partner with the City of Montrose, and she believes deeply in giving back to her community over the years. She's served on numerous boards and committees and initiatives. She's been married for 31 years and has two wonderful step kiddos aged 43 and 45 and 5 grandchildren. She likes to run, ski, bike, and camp. And it feels if you're lucky enough to live on the Western Slope, you're lucky enough. Also with us this morning, we have City Manager Bill Bell. Bill has worked in public administration for about 18 years, going on maybe 20 at this point, and is a recent past president of the Colorado City and County Managers Association and of the Colorado Municipal League, or CML. Bill currently serves on the Government Affairs and Policy Committee for the International City and County Managers Association. Bill was born in Delta, he's a local, spent his childhood on dairy farms in Cedar Edge and in the Clifton Palisade area, where he learned to love and appreciate the lifestyle of Western Colorado. I'm sensing a theme here. Bill eventually moved to Evanston, where he finished high school. Bill is a Wyoming cowboy, just like myself, where he earned a bachelor's degree, double majoring in psychology, also another trend, and criminal justice, and then furthered his education at Pepperdine for 3 semesters, where he studied contract law, conflict resolution, and now has an MPA, or Master's in Public Administration. So Bill has a really great, lots of really cool jobs. He's been married to Melanie, his wife, I think for 16 years now, and they have 2 children, Connor and Sydney. So also a few pets, and yeah, Bill is a longtime Rotarian and enjoys being outside, traveling, and playing sports. So thank you, Bill and Sue, for being here this morning. We're really happy to have you and excited for this morning's call.
Great. Thank you, Chelsea. Just before we get started, I just wanted to say hello to everybody and tell you I've been studying all night long for Ask Me Anything, which doesn't limit the topic, that's for sure. So there probably will be questions that I won't be able to answer just because I don't know, and I will assure you that I will find out anything that you need to know and follow up with you. So I'm excited. I hope Bill's excited. Is that his excited face? Okay, there we go. All right, so I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Chelsea.
Thanks. Bill, did you want to say anything before we start with our warm-up question?
Yeah, I was just putting in the chat that Melanie would want me to say we've been married 18 years, so I don't want to cut her 2 years short. It's felt like 35 sometimes, but don't tell her that. I don't think she's.
Now, wait a minute. Yeah.
So thanks for having us.
When you're having fun.
Questions today.
Great. Well, thanks for being here, Bill, and thanks to everybody on the call. Looks like we have about 77 people here this morning and probably more joining all the time. So we're excited to talk with all of you and hear from you. So we're going to just get Sue and Bill warmed up a little bit, and I'm going to start with Sue. Sue, what was your first ever job?
Like for money, you mean, or just my first job? I have to start with when we lived in New Mexico. My brother and I thought we could make a lot of money by collecting lizards and selling lizards. So I think I've been an entrepreneur from the get-go. But it really didn't net too much because everybody in New Mexico knows where lizards are. So our supply chain was a little bit limited. But my first real job was in a gift store in Fairfax, Virginia, and I thought I was hot stuff. I think I made $3.99 an hour, but it was really fun, and it really helped me understand. I love work, and I've always had a job, so working hard, and I think it was really a good way to get started. So let's hear what Bill did for his first job. Were you going to ask him, or did you have a different question for him?
Yes, Bill's first job.
So my first job, all my jobs were family jobs to begin with, being raised on the farm. So I hauled a lot of hay and gathered chicken eggs and did all those things on the farm. And then we owned a factory in Compton, California, leisure time vans, and I made crushed velvet buttons for the inside of van seats, those captain seats and stuff that went inside furnished vans. And I got paid per button, so that was awesome. And I got to eat off the food truck. It was a lot of fun. And airplane glue back then, because they sprayed the seats to make the foam stick to the metal. I think that's probably what happened to me. My wasn't family related, was a dishwasher in JB's restaurant in Wyoming. And then my family owned restaurants too, so I did a lot of restaurant type stuff. But JB's dishwasher was my first paid job, non-family related. And I thought it was awesome. I did learn one tip for everyone. Any restaurant really probably, but my only experience was in JB's with this, is if you're going to eat the breakfast buffet, make sure you're not the first one to eat the sausages, because they really come out half cooked, because they know the lights are going to heat them up the rest of the way throughout the morning, and they don't want them to be overcooked. So never be the first one to grab a sausage off the breakfast buffet.
Thanks for that tip, Bill. I'm writing that one down.
Learning so much already. We have a little bit of a format this morning. So after our little warm up round here, I've got a few questions that were emailed in ahead of time. So I'm going to start with one of those, probably a burning topic with everybody right now. And then we'll jump into the live Q&A with people on the call. And then at the very end, we're going to do a lightning round with Bill and Sue for about 10 minutes, which is just a rapid fire question session of things about them and their leadership style. Just a fun way to sort of end the call. So I'll let either one of you jump in on this, whoever feels comfortable. This is going to be a question in regard to COVAX. So that's been something that we're hearing about in the news, a potential business relocation to the area. And so there's several questions about COVAX, which could be answered, you know, concerns about vaccine development labs being a danger to the public. Are we prepared to handle such a problem as the community? Is there a reason to rush this process? And other questions regarding the airport. And so either one of you, if you want to jump in and just kind of chat a little bit about COVAX and where we are with that as the city county government.
Well, I'll jump in on that first. I think it's important to recognize that there's some folks from COVAX on the call, and I think we're going to post their contact information. So for specific questions about their operations, potential operations, I think you ought to touch base with them specifically. I can speak to the county's involvement, and I think it's really important for everybody to understand that the county, you know, that the potential building is in the city limits. So that would be a city licensing issue. And but the thing that brings the county into the conversation is that it's on it's adjacent to the airport property. And so folks that are proposing to purchase that building would like to have airport access so they can ship their supplies. So that's the only issue that the county has, except for the potential if there were some things that public health might need to be involved in. And I don't know that that specifically would be something that public health would be involved in, but I've had a number of calls and emails from all of you about health concerns. So it may become an issue if it moves down the road, but we're still awaiting FAA conversation about whether or not what they weigh in on the opinion about anything that goes on airport property or adjacent to airport property. So that's what I have to say about that facility. As far as operations, how they operate, what they're going to do is not necessarily something that we would get involved in any business. I mean, we wouldn't come into your business and do an inspection to see what you're doing, but if there were safety concerns that were brought to our attention by the public, we might jump into, you know, looking at their FDA application and that kind of thing. So, and that's pretty much what the county's involvement would be.
On the city side, on this one, we've also had a lot of those same emails. They've come to both the county commissioners and the city council and staff on both sides. From the city's side, like any business that comes into town, they usually approach us on planning and zoning related items first. They want to, just like anybody would, if you're going to buy a piece of property that's in the city limits, you want to first check on the zoning of that property and make sure that whatever you're planning to do on it is legal and allowable by the city code and by the zone that it's in. And so we were approached to analyze the zoning on this particular property, and we saw that their intended uses matches up with our zoning code. And so we issued a zoning letter to them confirming that. Really, that's all the city has been involved with. That's where we are at the moment. A lot of questions on, a lot of comments from people and questions about the city and or county's ability to keep out particular businesses in our community. Can we dictate what businesses come into Montrose? And the answer to that is no. Once a property has been properly zoned, any business in the world that wants to come into that property and do an allowable use on that property has the right to do that. And I don't think we would want government to come in and dictate who we want to come into our community. It's not legal to do that. So across the country, when cities and counties get sued, it's usually over land use issues. That's the #1 reason there's lawsuits, and it's overreaching and using your power and authority as government in a way that you really shouldn't. And so that's where we're sitting right now. Even though I know the sentiment of some people that email us is that we should just be able to say we want this business or we don't want this one. We just can't, we don't do that. That's not our line of work. In fact, last year on the social media, maybe 2 years ago, there was a lot of talk about how the city team, me and Chelsea in particular, were out recruiting mattress firms because obviously we must be incentivizing mattress firms because they're popping up in Mexican restaurants. And I can tell you,
we do have a lot of mattress firms.
We do have a lot of mattress firms, but we didn't go out and purposely recruit in extra mattress firms. So, but we can't just tell them, hey, we have enough mattress firms, we don't need any more. So it's a similar type of thing. This one's a little more serious just because of the nature of the business and people are concerned about it. And some people are very excited about it and others aren't. And so we try to listen to all those things, but from the city side, that's where we're at the moment. Again, I would say the same thing Sue did. If you have operational questions related to the business, I know I just saw that on the chat, the representative for them, Sarah, posted her email address, and she has a great frequently asked questions worksheet that she would love to pass around and have people read and ask them questions.
Thanks, guys. Great answers to those questions. And, you know, I've spoken with Sarah. She's great. So if you personally have questions, I know she's happy to chat and get into that, all of those details with you. And, you know, it's certainly something that's very interesting to learn about. And I would encourage you to reach out to her if you do have those questions. On a lighter note, I'm seeing a question about, with summer quickly approaching, we are wondering if there are any restrictions on outdoor recreational activities like camping, hiking, paddleboarding, etc.
I mean, are we talking about on public land? I mean, right now you can go camping, you can go paddleboarding, you can do all those things. I think that what we're really concerned about is the indoor recreation, which would, bring people close together and in close proximity to each other. So the rec district will be the challenge of trying to get when can they actually open. But as far as being outdoors, you can go outdoors and you can, recreate. What we're not looking for is to keep people from not congregating in huge groups of parties and camping and that sort of thing. But if you and your family want to go camping, you're free to go do that.
What about tourists coming to our area? Thoughts on that, or what are we seeing or hearing from a statewide perspective?
Well, I was talking to the commissioners up in Ouray, and they're seeing a lot of people. And I know the West End is starting to see quite a few people from Utah coming over, because I don't know if Utah is they closed their state parks. That was my understanding. So so a lot of people from Utah were hitting the West End. But as far as other restrictions, Bill, you may know more than I about that, but I'm not seeing anything like that. But I think that Ouray is trying to keep people, keep tourists. They're not opening up those high mountain roads just yet, because they're trying to keep folks from coming into their county. I think they're looking for a variance, though. They've been talking about doing that. So that might be something we all see coming down the road.
From the city's side, Chelsea's team at the Business and Tourism Office has been redirecting some of our marketing funds that we would normally advertise statewide and even beyond to ask travelers to come to Montrose. And right now, we just think it hasn't been, over the past couple of months, prudent to invite a bunch of people in, not even allowable under the governor's orders at the early stages. So even as we start to open up a little bit, we have redirected those funds to market more regionally, closer to home, and to help our small businesses here in the community cross-promote and cross-market with each other, just to get people who have been kind of a micro-tourism. We want people that have been stuck in their houses now to feel comfortable and to be out and about a little easier, and we can help with that with some of our marketing efforts. So we probably won't have a huge push statewide tourism here for at least several months. We won't be pushing for that.
But we do want you to go out and exercise, because I think we're all getting fat being at the stay-at-home order. I think that between alcohol and eating, I think that we're going to have a problem with that. So we'd like you to get out and at least recreate. So.
Thank you. And sorry if I missed this, but the state has opened its campgrounds here in Colorado. So unless the county has more restrictions where the state campground is located, then people can go and camp in our state campgrounds as of the 15th, I believe. So I'm going to go back to an email question, and then we'll get to some more questions from the audience. So this one came in via email. My husband's employer here in Montrose is not complying with the CDC guidelines for creating a safe work environment, not allowing anyone to work from home, having 100% of the workforce in the building, etc. He was told that if he does not report for work, he must submit his resignation. Is there anything the city or county can do to ensure that local employers are taking this seriously or doing what they need to be doing?
So, Bill, I'll take that first, if you don't mind. You know, that the city and the county put together a business ambassador team, and we've been going out and educating businesses on some of the safety measures. And we've taken that tack because what we didn't want to do is have a heavy hand about once we started the phase 1 and phase 2 of opening of businesses, we didn't want to have a heavy hand in terms of, you're not doing this, and so we're going to report you. What we wanted to do was educate. And what we found and what we're finding is that people don't fully, even though we're doing a lot of messaging about the virus and safe practices and all of that, you know, not everybody is necessarily as keyed in to all of those as those of us that are kind of in the public health arena. So what I would recommend is that you send me the business, maybe private message me. I'd be happy to go out myself and chat with them and just sort of share the safer guidelines and what we recommend. And It may be that they're just not aware completely, and it's not that difficult. I mean, even wearing a mask is not that difficult. And but we'd be happy to look at that and go out and educate them. So we want people to be safe. The only way to really loosen up some of these orders is that people have to sort of, play well in the sandbox. And, we're all in this together. We want to make sure that we're making good decisions while not being super paranoid. And I will tell you that the city and the county both have talked about reasonable and safe measures with regard to looking at these businesses. Again, we're not sending the law enforcement in. We don't want to do that at all. What we want to do is we want to make sure that people understand the safety to their businesses. And one of the things that I keep telling businesses is that the last thing you want for your marketing efforts in your business is to have your site become an outbreak site. And you only have to have 2 positive cases to be considered by the state, by the public health guidelines as a outbreak site. So that there's nothing that will damage business more, because your customers will not want to come in. And the other thing I will say about mask use, as long as I'm on that, is, we have some of your customers calling the county and the city and saying, hey, nobody's wearing a mask here. I don't feel safe spending my money here. And at least from my perspective, from my days as a business owner, I wouldn't want to do anything that would keep people away from my business. If they have, $20 to spend, I want them to spend it in my business. And if wearing a mask achieves that goal, then that's what I want to do. So we are asking people to be reasonable about the guidelines and to be safe. And if you have any questions, you can contact Chelsea, you can contact all of us. We'll get the right people engaged so that we can answer any potential questions that you have.
Thank you. Bill, maybe toss this one over to you. This is from the audience this morning. Any idea if in-class school will start in the fall?
My family was just talking about that last night over the dinner table. We're also wondering that. Our son's a golfer, and golf season's at the beginning of school. And so we're really hoping baseball season was canceled this year, and we're hoping golf season isn't canceled next year with a late start. The best answer to that question would be the school district, but I actually watched the school board meeting on Facebook last night to try to learn some stuff, and it was a really good meeting, a really good discussion with the superintendent and all the school board members and some staff. And what I gleaned from that, I think everybody should go watch that, because it's a lot of really good detailed discussion. But they're trying to do their best to open in the fall. Okay? Right now, we're thinking of delaying it a few days, but hopefully in September is our goal at the moment. But of course, that'll be driven by the state.
And I did get a call about that yesterday, inquiring as to whether we could put our. Some of you already know that we've had probably 100 making homemade masks. And we had early on supplied those to the hospital because they didn't have enough masks at the hospital. Once the hospital got filled, we started handing them out to the nursing homes and other first responders that needed masks. The school called yesterday to just inquire, could we get that team of people back to work making masks so that the teachers would have enough coverings for the fall. So I think the plan is hope that it can happen. And again, with this COVID thing, if as we open things up and as we ask for waivers and things like that, so we can open more and more of the businesses, we risk spikes in spread. And so if we end up getting a significant spike, then we'll have to dial it back. And so, it's really difficult to plan when you don't know what's going to happen in the future. But I think what at the county's done, the city's done is plan A, plan B, as many plans as you can, depending on the eventuality of what happens. So it would be great if the school did. I know a number of higher education places nationwide are not going to open in the fall. So, hope for the best and plan for the worst, I think is probably a good rule of thumb.
Yeah, and if I could just give a shout out to the teachers who finished out the year with online learning. They had to do a turnaround, and some of those people hadn't been trained in that platform earlier. And our experience Centennial Middle School and the high school was excellent. So I just want to say thanks to those teachers, keeping the kids engaged for the first month when they didn't have online learning. For parents who aren't used to being at home all the time in City Hall and escape. Thank you for getting them engaged. We appreciate that.
Bill, your audio is a little weird. Is anybody else hearing that? Okay.
Yeah, I was just texting Bill. I'm trying to think about troubleshooting if maybe pop off the call and hop back in, or I don't know.
Maybe turn the video off and turn it back on.
Yeah, something like that. While we're talking about the school district, I have a question that came in via email. Someone asking about the Fair Tax Colorado. So I don't know much about that, but wondering, Bill or Sue, there's a petition circulating for the Fair Tax Colorado, and wondering your thoughts on that, or if you're personally going to sign it.
Hate to say that I'm not familiar with that, so I can't really comment on it, but I'm Googling it right now to make sure but yeah, I don't know. Maybe somebody, whoever has that question, could put that in the chat box so we could follow up on that. And I don't know if Bill, are you back on?
No, he left to maybe try to reestablish the connection. So
maybe we can circle back on that.
Okay, I've got one for you, Sue, while we're waiting. Matthew asks, I saw the bingo connection is opening their doors again. With restriction, if they are opening up, why can't we open up bars and restaurants with restrictions?
They shouldn't be opening if they're going to have more than 10. So were they talking about, were you there? Is it Matthew Gallegos? Was that your question? So yeah, I'm curious, we still have fewer than 10 people in an area. So if they are doing that, we probably need to just scoot by and talk to them a little bit about that. Bars and restaurants, even in the waiver that, if you read the Mesa County, their waiver was accepted. A waiver meaning that they applied to the state and asked for special consideration for their county. Bars are not even included in that waiver, mostly because bars just lend themselves to people congregating and hanging out next to each other, and then give people a couple of drinks, and then the social distancing just doesn't happen. So I think that's the major concern with that. But if Bingo Connection is coming together and doing full bingo, we might want to just take a look and see what's going on there. So thank you for bringing that to our attention.
All right, Bill, let's do a test. We had a question while you were gone about something to do with the fair tax initiative that's happening. So have you heard anything about that?
No, I heard that question. That's why I jumped off the call real quick. I think Sue did a great job.
So you could study up.
I appreciate that. No, I honestly don't know too much about the fair tax stuff. Is my sound better?
It's still a little shaky. I think Terry is contacting Greg to see what we can do for you. And we've got a couple of people who posted about the Fair Tax Colorado in the comments. So if you want to learn more about that, you can certainly check that out. Also, Mayor Bynum has posted the video from the school board meeting in the comments as well. So if you want to watch that, you're certainly welcome to take that link with you when you go. Okay, this one is from Susan, and this is another COVAX question maybe for you, Sue. If they get access to the airport, who will be in charge of the safety and security of the facility?
My understanding, and I would direct this to those folks that own COVAX or are working with COVAX. So Sarah's on the line right there. I would guess that they would have to file an application with the FDA. Would be my thought, that the Federal Drug Administration would be who they would have to have application to, and that would be the first step. And we would actually have access to that application. I tried to get clarification on this yesterday. Again, if there was a public health concern, we not clear on the limits of our authority about that, but we may want to inquire. And I would think that if COVAX, if it all happens, that as a company, they would want to be open and transparent about what they're doing, about what's happening. And so I would hope that any company that comes into Montrose would not hesitate one bit about having anybody come in and ask questions and show us what's going on and be transparent about it all. And if they weren't, I would be concerned about that kind of a company coming into Montrose County. So that's pretty much what I have to say about that. And Sarah is looking like, call her and ask her anything, right? She'll do the next webinar, ask me anything.
That's right. Thanks for being here, Sarah. We appreciate that. And we have another COVAX question, and we're just going to refer that same thing to Sarah. You know, we talked at the beginning of the call about the city and county's role in the entire process, and you can go back and watch that if you weren't able to get here right at 8:30. Again, this is being recorded and we'll post it as soon as we can today. So I have a question, and Bill, I'm going to toss this one to you because I know we've talked about it a lot at the city about places of worship. So there are churches that would like to congregate, and we hold that it is vital to our spiritual life and health to be assembled together. Zoom is not assembling, nor is being stuck in a car. Can churches seek an exception so that we may worship the way we believe we should?
I cut my video off just to see if my audio is better without the video feed. Is that better?
It is.
Oh, good. Okay. So yeah, we've talked, Sue mentioned we have a joint city-county team with the county public health department as well, and Dr. Joe. And we've talked a lot about churches, and a lot of us go to churches. And so we really would like to have them start up again and get people together. However, churches are with the most vulnerable people in our community, and there's an internal drive to be there. And so it's a complicated matter, and right now we've all decided that the governor's advice on that is what we're going to follow, and it's really based around his fact sheet, or CDPHE's fact sheet on places of worship, and that is a fact we could put on this call and have it posted. It's also on the county public health codes. It's also on the CDPHE orders website where it talks about places of worship. You Google.
You know, I'm going to tag on to that, Bill, because I got an interesting call from the West End from a pastor, and he was asking the same question: when can we, actually have church? But he was relating kind of a funny story to me, because he said that a couple of his parishioners have said, I really like this. They assemble in a parking lot, all in their cars. He essentially transmits over the radio in their cars, and people love it. I mean, so I know it's not congregating, it's not fellowship in that same way, but I think it's been interesting about to listen to how many people have found creative ways to still achieve their goals with their businesses and with regard to the churches. So, I mean, I've said this over and over, that out of crisis comes opportunity. And I think that what we've been able to see here with the COVID virus is a lot of businesses doing some pretty extraordinary things with the limitations that have been placed upon them. And we know it's difficult. It's difficult for all of us. So anyway, it's been pretty cool. So hopefully that'll happen soon. And, at least from the county perspective, we're watching these trend lines of our cases. Yesterday, we had no positive cases, which was on our emergency operation call, led to a big cheer. And Dr. Adragna, who is our medical advisor, has been doing an awesome job at informing the city, the county, all our partners, the law enforcement, fire, all the first responders, and keeping us up to speed on all things COVID. So it's been really great to be led by somebody so bright and knowledgeable about what we're doing here. So I couldn't be happier with that piece of what's going on.
So, and if you're on the call and you haven't had a chance to listen to Dr. A, I really encourage you to attend one of the community updates via Facebook Live, where he speaks about this, because it's really, when you get the facts and you get the information, it just makes it a lot easier to understand and move forward as a community. So he's really knowledgeable. I'd really encourage you to watch the next community update. It looks like we have a question about restaurants. And so there is talk, when restaurants open, they will only be allowed at 30% capacity. Every restaurant owner said they can't even break even at that capacity. What is your timetable on opening restaurants?
Well, right now, dine-in restaurants are not allowed by the state order. And for those of you who are, new to county government, the county is really just an extension of the state. I mean, we operate as an arm of the state of Colorado under statutory rules. And the guidelines that we are following as a community are those state guidelines. So in restaurant dining is not allowed at this point. We have been talking about a potential waiver, which would allow limited dine-in use. And I understand profit. I like money. I think it's a very handy thing. I don't like any of this restricting any businesses that we don't I just don't feel like government shouldn't be involved in saying what you can or can't do. But we have a safety issue here. It's a crisis. And we want to make sure that we keep our citizens safe. So even with that, even if we got that waiver, it would be limited to 30%. But what we were wanting to do is we had a call with the restaurant owners yesterday. We would go out, we would talk a little bit about how to arrange their dining rooms to be compliant so that we would be able to make sure we got the safe distancing. Chelsea brought up, but we want you to continue to do curbside and any other revenue for your business. It doesn't have to all be in room dining. When I was talking to the manager at Applebee's, he said they were rocking, I guess margaritas are real popular, and kind of drive in, get your margarita, and he said he was rocking those perfect margaritas. And so I think that watching businesses actually do what they can with what they have and what they're allowed to do, it's been heartening to see that kind of level of creativity. So bear with us. We understand our goal is to get everybody open as soon as possible, but we don't want to sacrifice the safety guidelines that we think are important and that public health has recommended that we don't. So we've worked with the hospital. We have all those partners weighing in. Is involved in those decisions, and the city and the county meet every week. We do a call to, if we have a restaurant or a business that's asked for, clarification, we get together, we discuss it. We're trying not to be punitive, and we're not putting like strong sideboards on that. We're trying to help them do it in a way that they can still make money. Bill, do you want to tag on to that? I probably took too many words.
Well, I think we've all been talking probably every other day. We talk about that. And Sue's really put together a great group of ambassadors to go around and talk to businesses. Just in case that helps my son. The ambassador group's doing a great job going and trying to help create OBT. Chelsea's team's trying to help restaurants be creative. And I just posted something. We do have a special meeting today at 12:30 where Dr. Joe Adragna is going to be giving the most information on the COVID situation for our community, and the city council will be considering the details of that county variant request that would go to the state or to what Mesa County. So if you're interested in hearing that, come to that meeting at 12:30.
Yeah, Chelsea, why don't you repeat that, because it was a little garbled for everybody.
Thanks. Sorry for the connection on Bill's side, everybody. And Bill, I'm sorry that we're having this issue. I've been talking with our IS department, and it's probably just an internet service provider bandwidth issue. So Bill, we are having some garbled, sound from you. I don't know if you wanted to leave the call and perhaps just call in from the phone. It might give us a clearer connection, though we wouldn't be able to see your face. Or I can keep translating for you if you want. Today, I can really translate Bill very well. So today we have a city council special meeting at 12:30 p.m. Dr. Joe will be there giving a community health update, and then council will be considering the county's request for variance to the state of Colorado for a quicker business reopening strategy. And so that's today. I posted the link in the comments. It's tinyurl.com/citycouncil0513. And that'll take you to the Zoom meeting where you can watch live at 12:30 to learn more about that information. Okay, and then also it will be on our TV channel 191 or Charter 970 live. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, someone was saying they couldn't hear me. I was like, oh no. Okay, I have another question from yesterday. Bill, are you back? Because it's for you. Okay, we'll give him a second to get back on. Let's see what we have.
This is really great because I can see people that are my Facebook buddies, and now I know what they look like. And I saw somebody brushing their teeth, and I just want to say a shout out for good hygiene. Remember, we are on video.
Totally true. Bill, are you back?
Whoever
Okay.
is Bill's internet provider. Who's the comedian?
Oh, there he is.
Can you hear me? I called in now.
Yep, I can hear you. Okay, so this is a question that
And I'm at City Hall, so if our internet provider is bad, that's not a good thing. But hopefully you can hear me now.
We can definitely hear you. So here's the question for you that we received yesterday on the restaurant call. And just in general, the question was regarding how much sales tax revenue comes in from big business or big box retailers versus locally owned businesses. And so I know we separate sales tax out by district, but do you have just a handle on sort of big box, large retailer versus smaller business and the split out? We cannot hear you.
Are you muted, Bill? There you go.
Is that better? I've never done it by phone, so sorry about that. Our South Townsend big box retailers generate about 80 to 85% of all the sales tax revenue for the city of Montrose, if that's what you're asking about. Our smaller businesses retail 20%. Over the years, we put a lot of effort into small business sustainability, small business expansions and retention, because we know that even though you have big box retailers in a community, it doesn't add to the ambiance or the community feel of a community. And so it's really important to have a strong Main Street, a great small business segment. And so even though we generate a lot of our revenue on the South Townsend area, we put a lot of effort into Main Street and our smaller business community as well. But during downturns like this or emergencies, actually our economy is stabilized by having the large retail. We are a regional hub. People still have to buy their groceries and their supplies, and Home Depot and Target and Walmart, all of those big box stores are helping to keep cash flow coming in to pay for things like law enforcement and street work and those types of things that come out of the general fund. It also allows the city council to redistribute some of that money to help the businesses during the time of need with some of the small business loans and those types of things. It gives us flexibility to do those types of things. Does that answer your question?
So it's good to balance in a community to have both. I remember years ago when I was on the Retailers Association, we were always struggling before we had some of the big box stores coming in. So it is great to have that balance in a community.
Thanks. And we have a question again for you, Bill, perhaps. Is sales tax revenue reporting running behind? And then on top of that, how do the March and April sales tax numbers look compared to prior years?
So I'm going to ask, am I muted this time?
You're good.
I can hear you.
Okay, good. We are always about 3 weeks behind on the reporting of revenues because of the time it takes for people who pay a little bit late to trickle in and to process the data. And so, for example, when the council wanted to get updated cash flow revenue numbers for the month of March,
around April 20th, April 23rd, I think we were able to gather enough information to give accurate information out. And so that would be the same. It'll be about the third week of May when we can show April's numbers. So there is a lag period on that. And it just depends on how timely people remit and that type of thing. As a reminder, right now there was a 90-day forbearance on the sales tax remittance. And some people took us up on that and some didn't. Some continued to pay on the normal time frame. Compared to years prior, March revenue wasn't horrible. It was down a little bit, 10 to 15% or so. When you add up restaurant tax, general sales tax, lodging tax, all those different pots of money, it adds up to a good amount of money, you know, a couple hundred, few $100,000, but in the big picture of a $50 million, $60 million budget, it wasn't a huge hit for us. Unlike some communities where they are almost all tourism based, ski resort towns, they had huge hits, and they're having to furlough people and lay people off and cut city services. Thankfully, we haven't had to do that quite yet. And we're thinking April is going to be a little bit worse than March, but looking at just what seems to be happening when we're looking at individual businesses, it shouldn't be horrible for April. So the quicker we can get restaurants open, we can get businesses back operational. That's all of our goals. We think we can weather the storm. We had planned to easily financially weather the storm for at least 90 days here at the city before major cuts or anything would have to take place. And we're hoping that by the end of May, things will start working its way back to normal. We do have reserves, both city and county. We are in good fiscal shape compared to a lot of communities because we're pretty conservative in our community. We might disagree on some things and how we go about doing things, but when it comes to finances and money, both the city and county are very fiscally conservative.
That's true. Also, though, that the state is looking at some pretty significant budget cuts coming down. So we don't really know what the impact is going to be, but we're starting to look at those numbers and see what has to be done in terms of tightening belts and just making sure that we are responsible. What projects need to be put on hold? I mean, that's what responsible people do when they know there's going to be a shortfall. So it is important to know that your elected officials and the leadership at the city and the county are looking at those areas. So,
yeah, one comment on that: the highway users money that comes from the gas tax and then gets redistributed by the state to all the municipalities, that's going to take a huge cut. It'll be several $100,000 possibly for the city next year. So that's one we're keeping our eye on because people just weren't out and about using gasoline.
All right. Well, we are approaching 9:20, which is when we're going to start the lightning round of questions. I'd like everybody, we'll kind of have a wrap up at the end and we'll say goodbye to everybody, but I just want you all to know if you have other questions that you didn't want to ask publicly, the email addresses for Sue and Bill, myself, Kate Adams, who's helping us moderate, are at the beginning of the chat. They can also be found online. They're widely published and we'd be happy to answer any of your questions via email or phone. Our phone numbers are published and we're happy to chat with you on the phone if you want to have more of a one-on-one conversation. So thanks to all of you who provided questions. The timing actually worked out 100% perfect. So that is great. And we're going to do a lightning round of questions now. And the point of this is to answer as quickly as you can with what comes to mind. So we're going to go with Sue first because we do personality assessments, or Sue does them, called DISC. And we know that Sue's personality is one that likes to fire off quickly. So we're going to do Sue first. I'm going to ask questions. And it's going to be a quick answer. She doesn't know the questions and Bill doesn't either, but he's going to get a preview with Sue's. It'll be fun. So the idea of this is just to get to know our leaders a little bit more, to smile, to have a great start to the day. All right, Sue, are you ready? You're unmuted, right?
No, now you got me nervous. I'm all like, okay, go.
Okay, there are let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 questions. Are you ready? Here we go.
Yes.
Go-to meal at Horsefly.
I'm sorry?
Go-to meal at Horsefly. What do you order at Horsefly?
Fish and chips.
Coffee black or doctored up?
Black.
Favorite county project you've worked on since being there?
Delving into the health and human services has been a real challenge, and I'm on okay, that's enough. That's lightning answer.
No, you're fine.
I'm getting deep into it. I sit on 2 additional allocation committees at the state level, having to do with allocation to different counties, especially I represent the Western Slope counties. That's been a really challenge. It's health and human services funding is not, it's not an easy task. So it's been a real challenge. So.
Awesome. Last time you laughed really, really hard?
Not since I got elected. I'm kidding. I actually love this job. I think it's been, I never in a million years thought I would do this, but it's been very challenging and it's really been fun. I mean, if anybody likes to solve problems, this is a good job to have.
Thank you. Sorry, I was trying to prevent the background.
So I guess I need more laughter. So if anybody has any jokes, send them to me. I could use them.
Something people believe about you that isn't true.
Okay, that I'm patient. Really, I don't think people believe that either. I just didn't know what else to say. I'm not patient. Right.
You're not patient. Got it. I didn't know that about you. No idea. Favorite movie?
Fried green tomatoes.
You're contemplating a big problem at work. Who do you call or what do you do?
I have a whole group of people that are my go-to folks. So I would say John Washbush is my #1 go-to person to chat about. He's been in county government for a long time. He's super smart and he's a good person to go back and forth with. So he challenges me, which is something I really appreciate. I don't like people just telling me what they want me to hear. I like to go back and forth and get to the best solution. So I love that about him.
Awesome. You get 1 million points. You passed.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay, Bill. Now he's been writing down his answers, you know.
He's Googling what's something that's really funny.
Yeah, I already Googled for all the answers.
Okay, and Manny Miller, I do see your question, and Kathy, it looks like we might have a little bit of time before 9:30 to get to those after Bill's lightning round. So, okay, Bill, just doing a test. Can you just say hello so I know we can hear you?
How you doing?
Okay, awesome. All right, you ready?
Yeah, I closed my ears. I didn't listen because I didn't want to cheat. So
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, here we go. What's your go-to meal at Horsefly?
At Horsefly, the 50-50 burger.
Coffee black or doctored up?
Black.
Favorite city project you've worked on since being there?
Favorite city project? I think probably the Connect Trail initiative. I think it's a huge thing for our community. It's really fun to see how many people are out there using that, and it really changes the landscape through the river corridor. So that has been a fun project.
Love it. Really good timing on that as well. I know a lot of people are out there using it. Last time you laughed really, really hard?
Well, I actually laugh a lot around you. So Chelsea makes me laugh on a regular basis at work. But when I go home, my kids just crack me up. And so I laugh a lot. At work, I'm pretty serious. And so sometimes Sue, she does a lot of our personality behavioral stuff here at the city. And her and Chelsea try to lighten me up quite a bit. I'm a pretty serious guy at work. I've been accused of being aloof, which I've still over the years tried to research what that means. But I do have a lighter side, and I really like to have a lot of fun. Anybody that works with me knows that, but I take work very seriously.
That is accurate, I would definitely say. And this might lead into the next question. Something people believe about you that isn't true.
The biggest thing that people that I've heard over the years believe about me is that I really like the big cities and that I want Montrose to become a big city. And I just want people to know I was raised in nearby small towns, and I'm an ag farmer kind of guy. I just happen to fall into city management, but that doesn't mean you can't have a well-run city that's of the small rural nature. And that'd probably be the biggest misnomer people put on me, is I want it to be like Boulder or downtown Denver or Los Angeles. Just not the case. We love Montrose.
All right. And favorite movie?
Fletch Lives. All
What is
Chevy
it?
Chase movies, but Fletch is my favorite.
I don't even know that movie. This is probably
Oh, that's a
generational.
good movie.
Okay.
All right,
I
last
think
question.
Chevy Chase is from
Years
your
ago.
generation, Sue.
I know.
point
I'm a
that out.
nana. I know. Ugh.
Okay, last question for Bill here. You're contemplating a big problem at work. Who do you call or what do you do?
Well, as you know, we rely a lot on our whole department head team. So kind of like Sue mentioned, they have a team of go-to people. We really have a good group, really good camaraderie among our department heads. And so if we're struggling with a difficult circumstance like business closures was one of the biggest challenges we've had to deal with over the years. But otherwise, internally, if we're going to change the way we handle personnel matters or change benefits, all those types of things, I just reach out to our whole department head team, and we do a really good job of brainstorming with each other. And there's a lot of mutual respect and trust there. So a really fun place to work. I tell everyone it's like a permanent vacation for me. The compared to where I came from, where we had just a lot of problems with corrupt elected officials and criminals on staff and all those types of things, being in Montrose is a dream come true for us, and it's been a great place to work.
Well, I think that both you and Sue and other elected officials and city management team have done just a great job in this community. You know, Montrose is well known across the state and even in the region for what we're doing here, and that's a testament to the leadership and the great citizens that we have in this community. So thank you both for your leadership and your transparency today, and willing to, you know, share a little bit about yourself. We have 2 minutes left on the call, and there was one more question that popped up while we were starting our lightning round. So if it's okay, I'm just going to ask that question, and then we'll try to end by 9:30 as promised. So we have a question about the hospital. What are we going to do about the hospital?
There you are. Is it just me or did Chelsea cut out?
No, I heard her.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, Chelsea.
Maybe the internet elves are attacking us all. So we have a question about the hospital and what we're going to do about it losing money, and also just talking, Sue, if maybe you could talk about this one, Sue, about washing masks.
Yes.
And dirty mask and what that does. So hospital and washing masks.
Well, I don't think I can speak to the hospital's situation. I know they have taken some measures to cut costs. I think that was in the paper, that the leadership took a cut in pay. You know, all rural hospitals are going to be in, they're going to have some trouble. And with this COVID thing is really putting a lot of pressure on our healthcare systems. So you're going to see, there's going to definitely be some things that have been proposed by our state government that are going to be cut overall. But we really need to make sure that our community hospital is safe and is healthy. We want to make sure that we support it. And I do 100%. We have a great hospital here. I think it's really important to make sure that we all love this community, and we want to make sure we have a good hospital here. So, and then the second part of the question was, Chelsea?
Masks. What
Oh,
say
yeah.
you about keeping your mask?
So I don't know if everybody knows, but the federal government actually is paid for the Battelle unit to be placed at the fairgrounds, and it is a decontamination unit. It's a sterilization unit. Mayor Bynum and I and others were there the other day on a tour. Essentially, they have a fully trained staff where the N95 masks can be decontaminated. It is a regional benefit. So any hospital or any N95 users across the region can send their N95s in to get them sterilized. It's really cool, and it will actually help obviously many of us know that the supplies of these N95s have been precious and difficult to get. And we're still even having trouble getting those supplies in, which is why we initiated the whole mask project to begin with. But anyway, we have that. It's a great benefit to our region and our community. So hopefully that'll get lots of use, and they'll be here as long as they need to be able to decontaminate a number of those masks for reuse.
And they're not sterilizing cloth masks, right? People should be washing those on their own.
No, you should wash your cloth mask, especially after each use. So have a couple of them and then keep one, just, wash them every other day so that you have a fresh one to wear. And again, the masks are not they're not to keep COVID away. What they're there to do is to restrain the droplets. As you speak and as you talk to others, droplets come out of your mouth, and that's how the COVID virus is transmitted. So that's what that does, is it keeps you and the person that you're near safe. So.
Thank you. We're running over time here. I wanted to give Bill a moment if he had any lasting thoughts, and Sue, you as well, and Mandy, just to answer your question really fast about the hospital. The hospital has been opened up to more elective procedures, more surgeries are happening to drive that revenue, and they're doing other marketing to let people know that it is safe to see their provider and to start driving that revenue into the hospital again. But I know Leanne Tobin over there can answer more questions and has some great information on that. So Bill, I'll toss it over to you. Just any lasting thoughts or anything to say at the end?
So I just want to say thanks for putting this together, and let everyone know that the city council is going to be rolling out as soon as we can start holding meetings in person again. We're going to go back to having something similar to this, but with city council, department heads, and the manager's office right before council meetings once a month. So be on the lookout for that. But if you ever have questions about anything, Sue and I have talked a lot about this lately. Please know that the intent of your local officials, whether it's elected or appointed, those of us who do it as a career or volunteers, our intent's good. We want to make the community better. And we might disagree with you, or you might disagree with us on how we do that, but please know that our intent is good. And we're trying to work together the best we can to make Montrose an even better place. And we're definitely going to get through all this. And it's been really fun. Our team working together has been fun during the challenge. Our team is much stronger than it was 3 months ago. City internal team as well as our city county team. And we're going to be meeting on a regular basis even when COVID's over.
Bill, I would add to that is that, Facebook, call us directly. I mean, there's not anybody that's not available directly by phone. Our cell phones are on the website. I mean, we are your, elected officials. So I've not seen much accuracy running around Facebook. So for me as an elected official, it's very frustrating I'm not going to weigh in because there's no way to win on Facebook. But if you have a question, call us. We're always here to answer those questions and tell you what we do know. So Bill, I think you would say the same thing, because it's hard chasing Facebook. I mean, it's a great tool, but it's also frustrating. Maybe Bill's not saying anything. Mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I was disagreeing with you that social media is very difficult to keep up with. One comment, you answer that one, then 5 more comments. And it's really hard to know what's real and what isn't out in the world of social media. Working from home, I've actually read more social media, not just Montrose stuff, but nationwide than I ever have. And it's amazing what's out there. So if you hear things that don't sound right or just doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. So just call us. We would love to talk to you about it.
Thanks, everybody.
A little bit over time, but just thank you to Bill and Sue for taking this time this morning. Thanks to all of you who attended. This is really important stuff. This is the work of a community and how we move forward. So thank you. Thanks, Sarah, for being here from COVAX. I hope everyone reaches out to her to get more information on that business. And just thank you to our community. We'll see you all soon. Have a great day.
Thanks.